Happy February 21st. JLD here, and welcome to Strategy Today. In this show, we're going to talk about Strategy's two main drivers. Convertible bonds pricing is in. Now, what's next? We're going to talk about why MSTR holds the keys to the new financial order. We're going to tell you the truth about bears. And then I crafted these highlights from a recent Michael Saylor speech. He put on an absolute masterclass. You're going to want to catch that and so much more. But please do remember, this is not financial advice. I would love to have you comment below where you're watching from, what you're doing, what your thoughts are right now, any questions, conversations you want to have. Great stuff's happening in the comment section below. And let's dive in. All right, today's first post is from Chris, and he shares Strategy's long-term value creation can be distilled down to two drivers. One, maximize Bitcoin holdings by leveraging capital markets. Two, maximize cash flows by leveraging Bitcoin holdings. And what I love about this is Chris just always breaks things down in a very simplistic way, but it's so true at the same time. And here you can see Strategy right here and his two main drivers: maximizing Bitcoin holdings by leveraging capital markets. We obviously just did that with the convertible bonds. We do that with the preferred stock. We do that with the ATM selling. And then number two, maximize cash flows by leveraging Bitcoin holdings. And this is something that Saylor and his team does so well. And this is where the real future lies with Strategy, in my opinion. So exciting things to come on this lever for sure. Wanted to share this post by Strategy. MSTR convertible bonds have returned 71% since issuance, outperforming Bitcoin. I mean, look at these convertible bonds since issuance. They are absolutely insane. The average blended convert 71%, Bitcoin's return 63%. So you are literally better off in this scenario, in this past performance, owning convertible bonds than you were owning Bitcoin. And what does convertible bonds offer? Downside protection. So in this case, it ended up being the best of both worlds. So I think you can see why there's a lot of demand for convertible bonds right now, and there will be going forward in the future. Strategy, MSTR, they have created quite the opportunity, quite the instrument that people are fired up about. Let's move on to Bitcoin Overflow. MSTR's CB pricing is in 35% conversion premium, right in line with my expectation of 30 to 40%. They had to sacrifice some premium to get 0%, but this is still a great deal for MSTR. We could see two more CBs by end of quarter, so that's by the end of March, spaced a couple weeks out. So get ready for some more potential CBs coming in hot. We'll see about that. Exciting times. Jeff Walton says, between 2 and 2.3 billion plus of Bitcoin bids on the horizon. MSTR convertible debt was priced yesterday between 1:30 and 4 p.m., as discussed on True North last night. $433.4 of a conversion price. That's a 35% conversion premium on VWAP of $321. The maturity is March 1st, 2030. And what's the coupon? 0%. Michael Saylor and Strategy were able to get a 0% coupon on this, continuing to lower the costs of what it takes to run Strategy day to day, which we just love as shareholders. The next post from Bitcoin Overflow is, keep an eye on Bitcoin price action tomorrow. MSTR won't wait until the weekend to start deploying. Saylor changed his announcement schedule and lumped the November CB in with the new green dots posts. Prior CBs typically announce both the close and the buy the same day. So here you can see what happened in November. And then this is what happened on another graph coming up from November. Close announced at 4 p.m. on November 21st. So what is Bitcoin Overflow saying? Keep an eye on the Bitcoin price action tomorrow. And what is tomorrow? That is today, because he posted this on February 20th, and today is February 21st. Another post from Jeff Walton. Remember this guy, Howard Lutnick, the U.S. Secretary of Commerce? Yeah, his company holds $1 billion of MSTR, and he personally holds hundreds of millions of dollars of Bitcoin. This is the guy in charge of the U.S. sovereign wealth funds. We're going higher. Let's go, Jeff. Adam Livingston says, Archimedes said, give me a lever long enough and I will move the world. MSTR built that lever. Bitcoin is the fulcrum. The world is about to shift. Jeff shares, oh man, continuing to have revelations about MSTR. This beast is going to be a lot bigger than people could even imagine to conceptualize. The power of the corporate balance sheet is an invisibility cloak. And when Jeff gets excited, I get excited. Let's go. All right, Adam says, MSTR holds the keys to the new financial order. Imagine a future where sovereign entities, Fortune 500s, and entire economies are scrambling to acquire what Strategy already controls. Nearly 500,000 Bitcoin, the hardest asset known to man. While the world was busy debating rate hikes and printing worthless paper, Strategy was front-running central banks, asset managers, and governments alike. The game theory is inescapable. As liquidity evaporates into the black hole of absolute scarcity, every unit of Bitcoin absorbed by Strategy tightens the noose on those who hesitated. In a few years, they won't just be a company. They'll be an unassailable monetary citadel, a decentralized central bank with a direct leverage over global capital flows. At a certain point, the fiat denominated valuation of Strategy becomes meaningless because their real balance sheet isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in sovereign energy, cryptographic certainty, and absolute digital ownership. Wall Street analysts still think they're valuing an enterprise, but what they're really looking at is the monetization of pure mathematical scarcity. The ultimate short squeeze is coming, and when the world wakes up, it won't be about price anymore. It will be about access. Strategy holds the key to the new financial order, and most people don't even realize they've lost. Mic drop, Adam. And Chris shares another simple but powerful graphic. No one wants MSTR at a 100 billion market cap. Everyone will want MSTR at a $1 trillion market cap. And here's the lines. Buy me, buy me. Nobody wants at $100 billion. At a 1 trillion, everybody's lined up. And this is how bears operate. This is a look into the mindset of bears. They only want it when it's too late, when the inevitability has just become obvious to everybody. You're early. I'm early. I'm incredibly proud of us for being early. Now, all we need to do is hold the line and let the rest of the world catch up. And now let's move into Michael Saylor's master class. Michael, take it away.
What freedom do you have if you have all of your money in a bank that can freeze it? What freedom do you have if you have your money embedded in a currency where someone can print 4x more of it without your approval and debase it to zero? What freedom do you have if you own real estate in a city where the mayor can put rent control on it or expropriate it, or the governor can tax it away from your family? What freedom do you have if all your wealth is in a business where the government can tell you can't operate, shut down your pipeline, tax your employees, tax your income, regulate your product? And the answer is, you only have conditional freedom until the government changes and they just take away that freedom. And then when they take away your wealth, when they take away your economic power, they're going to starve you to death, and then you've got nothing. So Bitcoin represents putting your economic wealth in cyberspace. It's beyond the reach of the mayor, beyond the reach of the governor, beyond the reach of any nation state, beyond the reach of any other company that would do you harm. It is the first time in the history of the human race that you can bind economic energy tightly to an individual, to a family, to your company, and you don't have to ask permission to have economic wealth, to have money, and you don't have to live in fear that someone gets up on a morning and just takes it all away from you to power you down. And so if I am conservative, I want a family, I want a company, I want freedom. Well, how are you going to pay for it? And if you live in a country like Venezuela and the currency goes to zero, you're going to be begging for food next week. Wouldn't it be great if I could take the wealth of my family and put it into a network that no one can loot, no one can corrupt, and at the end of the day, I don't want to gamble my future. I don't want to take my life savings and gamble in the stock market. I don't want to take my life savings and gamble that the mayor of the city won't just take my property away from me. I actually just want to own the wealth. I want to own my money. And Bitcoin is a way for you to convert your capital into digital capital that will last 1,000 years. Your country will be, your company, your country, or your family will be wealthy for generations to follow. You don't have to live in fear. And when you don't have to live in fear, when you have economic independence, you can actually stretch your time horizon out, and you can build an institution, you can build your family, you can build a life for yourself. This nation became great because of the Louisiana Purchase. We bought a third of the country from Napoleon for a few $1,000,000. Then we purchased Texas and California from the Mexicans for a few million more. Then we purchased Alaska from the Russians for a few million more. We didn't even know there'd be $1 trillion of mineral rights underneath Alaska when we purchased it. They called it Seward's Folly. But what I'm describing is manifest destiny. If you want to create a great nation, you have to build it on valuable property. You have to know, where is all the money headed? Where is the future? When we bought California, we didn't know there'd be a Hollywood. We didn't know there'd be a Silicon Valley. No one really considered. In 1867, we didn't have a petroleum industry. And so where is the money headed in the future? The money's headed to cyberspace. Bitcoin is property in cyberspace. The manifest destiny of this country is to own cyberspace. And I think that President Trump understands the value of owning scarce, desirable property. If we go to cyberspace and we buy Bitcoin and the nation embraces Bitcoin, then all of the capital in the world, all of the Chinese money, all the Russian money, all the European money, all of the money from the 20th century, the money invested in a Siberian warehouse, the money invested in fill in the blank, anything you could possibly own in Africa, all of that capital is flowing into cyberspace. It's going from physical to digital. It's flowing from the 20th century to the 21st century. The 21st century is going to be 1 billion AIs thinking 1 million times a second. And what are they going to be using to move their money around? They're going to use digital money because they can't get a bank account. They can't get a credit card. I have to approve my wire transfers from my bank once a week. It takes about 20 minutes, and they ask me on the phone whether the money should move.
It's a good problem. What's 478,740 Bitcoin, Michael?
The computers.
We don't feel too bad is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I get it. But my point, we've been doing it that way for 50 years. And if you look at the way the digital economy is going to run in the 21st century, it's going to be 1 billion computers thinking 1 million times a second, moving assets at the speed of light. Bitcoin represents digital capital. That network is $2 trillion today. It's going to be $20 trillion in 4 to 8 years. It's going to be $200 trillion in 20 years. Then it's going to grow faster than every other asset in the world. It's going to continue to grow. The United States should own it.
In your perspective, how soon do you think we're going to be buying Bitcoin and have within our U.S. reserve at a timeline? You think it's going to be 12 months, 24 months?
I think there's an appreciation of the power of Bitcoin throughout the cabinet, throughout the House, throughout the Senate. There's going to be a political process by which we build consensus with the White House, the Senate, and the cabinet, and find the right way through. But, what I would say on this topic is the U.S. could own 20% of the network like that for free. The dollar would strengthen. The nation would be enriched. And the real promise is if you own 4 to 6 million Bitcoin, you're going to pay off the entire national debt. You're going to neutralize it. We can generate a $50 trillion to $80 trillion benefit to the United States people to the citizens, to the taxpayers, and we can do it simply by seeing the future. It cost $6 million to buy Alaska. The payoff was $1 trillion. Just like right now, you can literally buy it for a song and dance. That's the opportunity. The risk is that you wouldn't want the Saudis to buy it first, or the Russians or the Chinese or the Europeans. And there's only room for one nation state to buy up 20% of the network. And obviously, I think it should be the United States. I think it will be the United States. It's a way for us to enrich ourselves and emerge as a creditor nation in a matter of a decade. It's also a way for us to ensure that we're the economic leaders in cyberspace and the digital economy for the next 100 years. And if we do that, every one of our allies will follow us, and then all of our enemies will end up having to buy into the network once it passes 10 or 20 million a coin, and they will enrich us. What I would say to everybody in this room is, if you want freedom, if you want liberty, if you want to live your finest life, you're going to need economic power. You need physical power, you need political power, but you need economic power. Bitcoin represents economic armor. When you put on the suit of armor, then no mayor, no government, no collectivist, no socialist can debank you. They can't take your money away. They can't impoverish you. Just like a gun is a deterrent, Bitcoin is a deterrent, because if you have wealth in Bitcoin, you have the option to move it to any jurisdiction, and you can keep it, and no one can take it away from you via force of violence, no matter where you are on Earth. And so Satoshi gave us an opportunity. I hope I intrigue all of you with the opportunity, and you go do the research and determine for yourself how you benefit from it. But I just leave you with the thought that Bitcoin is economic armor.
And there you have it, another episode of Strategy Today. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please comment below. Your comments mean a lot. Your likes, your subscribes. So thank you in advance. And here's the receipt from yesterday's purchase. I actually didn't buy at the high yesterday. We'll see what happens going forward. But I bought at $317, 0.666 share of MSTR. And that was on February 20th. So dollar cost averaging $210 every single trading day of the year. Excited for that. And remember, you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. You've been hanging out with myself and a lot of Michael Saylor time today with those great video clips. So keep up that heat. And remember, as Michael Saylor says, there is no second best.
What's the second best? There is no second best.